Okay, so we're going to start with quick introductions. Can you introduce yourself and say something about yourself?
Sure, yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Doug Weiss, and I am with Christian Cinema. And so Christian Cinema is a transactional video on demand platform. And so I work a lot with filmmakers and distributors, and then also in film marketing areas.
Hi, I am Arturo Allen, and I'm with Canción Films, and we specialize on theatrical distribution throughout Latin America.
Hello, everyone. I'm Katie Miller from Sight and Sound in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I am a part of our brand development team. I serve as marketing and communications director. And if you're not familiar with Sight and Sound, we are known for bringing the Bible to life on stage. We have a theater location in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and one in Branson, Missouri. We also have a streaming platform online that we launched several years ago, and where we broadcast our shows live from the stage onto that platform. And most recently, we announced that we are branching into feature films with our very first film coming to movie theaters this December called I Heard the Bells.
And my name's Gilbert Corredera, and this is really above my pay grade. I'm just supposed to announce the moderator, but since he's not here, I will keep going. Okay, so first question is, what's a common marketing financial mistake?
I'll go. Yeah, the common financial marketing mistake is not raising money for marketing. So a lot of times we'll see films that have completed and they're distributed, but they didn't raise like any money for marketing, considering if they did not do a theatrical release. If they did a theatrical release, it's probably they're planning for it. But you need to also plan for after theatrical is to have money for marketing, so people will continue to watch it, off the streaming platforms.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I second that, and I would add, when budgeting, not budgeting for creative development for your marketing purposes. Like to market, you need trailers and key art and just all sorts of different advertising assets. And a lot of times, you kind of, when you're setting up your budget, that can be an afterthought of like, oh right, we need to pay to have this trailer cut and the After Effects. And then I would also add just putting all of your eggs in one basket. We at Sight and Sound really believe that marketing is really an orchestra of many different players playing together. So it helps to have that full orchestra playing and not just focusing on one form of advertising and one form of advertising only.
Yeah, another common mistake would be not to know exactly what your audience is, what your target group. This is very essential, and because you want to obviously put your money towards your main core audience, or at least most of your money. You can't put everything right there. You should market all across all your potential audiences, but definitely focus on your target audience.
Okay, good question and good answers. All right, the next question is, when should we start thinking about marketing for a new project?
Before you start, to your point, I'm going to jump off of that because I think it's a really important one. And if you've sat in any of the main sessions, I think they've referenced this several times throughout this week, but knowing who your audience is before you even jump into your project is so key, not just from the creative development of the project itself, but then who you're marketing to. All of us, no matter if you're starting small or have been around for 5 decades, it doesn't matter, we still have limited budgets. And so while you might, like I just finished saying, like you want to spread it out and have the orchestra of the different marketing pieces playing, having a honed in audience for that orchestra to be playing to really matters and is pretty significant.
Yeah, one of the key things about when to start thinking about marketing for a new project is before you're actually going into filming, and even while you're filming. A very common mistake that a lot of us have made is we go through filming and we don't take any photos of the cast, and then we suddenly have to do a poster and we don't have any photos, and everything that we do in film is this format and not this format. So, always keep in mind that you need to start thinking about marketing while filming and get those photos done while shooting. It's a lot easier, a lot cheaper. You have already everybody there. You have them already with makeup and wardrobe and everything. Do your photos there and plan ahead.
Yeah, I would echo everything they're saying, and then I also, think about like choosing even a marketing partner too, like during pre-production. Like if you don't have a big team or you don't have extra people on set that are going to help you, capture like these photos or taking behind the scenes video or capturing just different things while it's happening and on set. And I know a lot of productions won't release too much depending on the type of production it is, but thinking about like having a marketing partner to identify during that pre-production period.
I'm not qualified to be here again, I'll say that. Their resumes are like this long, but I did do an independent movie, and I learned from other movie makers, and if you partner with another organization that already has an audience and a big platform, like partnered with Planned Parenthood, I believe, and when Countercolumn came out, we partnered with Adult and Teen Challenge, so they already had a platform that helped us with marketing after the movie was done. Okay, next question. When it comes to marketing, what would you say is step number one?
I would go back to my previous answer. Know who your audience is. That is, key, essential. Know who you're going to talk to, and then, because marketing is basically, taking your product to your audience. So you need to know who that audience is. So knowing that would be step number one in my book.
And if you don't entirely know who your audience is as you're stepping into a project, to Doug's point, partner with either others in the industry who have gone before you, or if you think you're going to hire an agency to help you with your marketing, have those conversations with potential agencies before you kick off your project. Because you can absolutely get ahead of the game, even if you're not ready to hire them yet, but just say, hey, if we engage you as an agency partner, what are you going to be asking for, so that, to Arturo's point, you can be getting those things throughout production. So most agencies are going to tell you right off the bat, you need an electronic press kit. And what that basically just is a list of digital assets that you're going to need. So you're going to need a logo, and you're going to need key art, and you're going to need 10 to 15 behind the scenes images and 20 stills from the actual film and a trailer. And these are the versions of the trailer. You're going to need a 60-second and a 30-second and a 15-second, all those things. But if you know those things ahead of time, before you are done with production, you could be capturing them in real time and save yourself a lot of headaches, because it's really hard to go to a movie set that is closed and get behind the scenes images at that point in time.
Yeah, I'll also add, when you think about your audiences, it's more than just the people that are going to watch your film. You got to think about your investors or your donors into the film as like an audience, and then also thinking about the people that are going to be like your champions of the film, that are going to get people in the seat, referrals, like that's another audience. So when you come up like with your messaging plan to these different audiences, you can, consider like, okay, I need to maybe say something a little different to each, but, consider like, okay, there's more than just the people that I'm, want to see the film.
I would like to add also another thing that is very helpful, not only in determining your audience, but also for you to get an idea of the audience response, is plan test screenings or focus groups. And in these test screenings or focus groups, basically you get a group of people of what you think your target audience may be, whether it's age or gender or Christian, non-Christian, or what denominations. And you bring them in, and then you screen the film for them. And preferably, You don't want them to be connected with you or with anybody in the production so that you get the most objective answers. I mean, there are companies that do that. You can hire a company and they'll do all this for you. If you can't afford to bring that company, then you can do it yourself. Just make sure that it's people that are not related to you, that don't know you, so that you get straight answers. Because sometimes, if you're watching the film of somebody else, you don't say all what you think, or you won't stress it as much as if you wouldn't be part of that. But that will give you a good sense of what's working in your film. My idea, something that we're doing, is we're doing this even before closing the film, before locking it. And that way, if we decide to make any changes, we haven't done the music and all of that, so we can still make minor changes. And sometimes you get really good feedback, things that you haven't thought about, or your team, hasn't thought about, and somebody else would say something. Oh, I saw this and I didn't like it. And it's not so much about liking and not liking, because as we know, we all have different opinions and tastes and all of that. But it's more so about the connection of the audience with the story, with the characters. That's what you really want to find out and know. And if there are things that are not working right there, then you may be able to do some minor changes. Of course, your film is done. It's all about maybe editing or music or sound or things that you can do. But that would also be very, very helpful. We just finished doing a movie, and we're in the process of doing test screenings, and we were surprised with some of the things that we found. For example, it's ranking really high with audience over 50, and we were like, what? We were never thinking that, because it's a comedy. And we weren't thinking that, audience over 50 was going to rank, and they're loving the movie. So these are the kinds of things. It's very valuable information, because when we start marketing, we know where to put our market dollars. If, in fact, audience over 50 are really liking the film, that's where we need to put the money. So all these are very important and helpful tools.
I'd like to make a correction. Unplanned did not partner with Planned Parenthood. They planned it with, hang on a second, with 40 Days for Life. That's who they partnered with. So sorry about that. Okay, the next question is, are there good ways to market a film apart from trailers?
I mean, I'll jump in. Personally, believe that the trailer is the foundation of your marketing. Yes, there's lots of other things that you can do. You can be doing public relations and doing interviews with different media companies, and be on your social platforms doing scene clips and behind the scenes and all those things. But think about it for yourself. When you want to go watch a movie, what's the one thing you want to do? You watch the trailer. I mean, even with my own kids now, I'm all about showing them all of my childhood films, which they love, whether they say they do or not. I'm making them love them. But what we do before we watch it, even if I know what they're going to be watching, I'm like, watch this trailer, And so we're watching these trailers from 1992. And so for me, wholeheartedly believe that, yes, there's lots of other ways to market, but the trailer, and a really good trailer, truly is the foundation and the launching point for everything else that you do.
Yeah, and you can even do some other things while you're working on your trailer, whether it's a teaser, which is a smaller version of your trailer, or you can do something that is commonly known as the heart off, or your vision, your passion, where you get the producer, some of the actors perhaps talking about the film and what the hope, the goal, the idea, the mission, the purpose, all of that, and those pieces sometimes are very, very captivating and can help you explain a lot better your vision while you're working on the trailer. And then, apart from that, of course, there's many things depending on your audience, which audience, of course, social media, and you can use all these other tools, but all of it is going to depend on your target audience.
Yeah, I'll add your poster image. Yeah, making sure you just have a really good image for your poster that conveys, the film as well.
All right, next question. How would you recommend marketing a film to reach middle school kids and young adults?
mean, one of the quotes that we use on our team all the time is "Go where the people are," and so there's there's so many different, especially digital platforms where young adults and middle schoolers and teens are already. Also, go after the different audience and places where they are. So homeschool groups, school groups, churches, youth groups, those types of things, like find where they are and then go there.
Yeah, and definitely, depending on what the movie's about, if it's a movie about sports, well, then you can link, okay, sports, teens, kids, where are they at? Where are they gathering? Always, it's very important because obviously your movie is geared maybe towards teens, but it's probably got a specific theme or a specific story, and linking that, finding creative ways to engage that hardcore audience because, okay, it's kids and young adults, but they're still, that's a huge group. You want to segment your audience exactly what kind of teens, what do they like, and then based on that try to, what's the word in English? Kind of like narrow down as much as you can your hardcore or your main audience, and then kind of build from there. It's also a lot financially. It makes a lot more sense because if you're going to target young adults and teens, it's about this big. If you want to target, okay, kids, from this age to this age that like this, that go here, that go there, then it becomes smaller and it's more financially effective.
Yeah, and I'll add probably like influencers and some digital platforms are good to reach out there. I know there's some limits on how you can advertise to kids now, especially on YouTube, but influencers are good, and then branded content as well. Things that they already use. Is there a way that you can bring your message into something as a partnership?
And I'd like to add on that same line something that it's that you can consider. We're talking about when do you start marketing? Well, you start marketing even before you do the movie. And we're talking about using all these platforms and influencers. Well, what if you have one of your minor roles invite an influencer? Some of these guys, especially young kids in TikTok that have hundreds of thousands of views and followers and all of that, to play a small role in your movie. It's not going to be very expensive, but you'll get all the benefits, and he'll be very excited, to be part in the movie, and he's going to be, promoting, the movie as well. So, those are little things. Again, before you film, plan ahead. On our movie, we have a couple of TikTokers, right, that have like huge followers, and they played a couple of small roles in the movie, and and are really excited. One thing that we're doing, I don't know if this has done before. I'll share here the secret with you guys. Well, our secret. But one thing that we're doing for all of our actors is once we have the trailer finalized, how normally you put featuring this actor at the end. We're going to customize one trailer featuring every actor in the movie, so that when they put the trailer in their social media, even if they are not in the trailer because they played a small role, it says special appearance by, and then we'll be able to see that actor that played the role. And that way he's going to be a lot more excited to share that on his social media than just showing a trailer where in a movie that he's in it, but he played such a small role that he probably is not going to care for. So anyway, all these are little things that we can do to maximize the exposure with a minimum cost. Well, there is a cost obviously because you're going to have to do a different trailer for each actor, but it would be a fairly inexpensive way to try to maximize, especially if they have a lot of followers.
I'm going to actually add one more thing, because both of you said things that kind of triggered it. But not just for middle school kids and young adults, but actually just as a general rule of thumb, finding some strategic partners for marketing, different than agencies, but like for instance, Sight and Sound actually works with Christian cinema, and not just Christian cinema, but the parent company of the Giving Company, because they have huge outlets and a huge audience that is constantly, I mean, as a parent, you know, how many of us are looking for great content for our kids? Like, we're, as parents, tuned in as well. And so finding strategic partners that already have audiences, another one that we work with, oh, now it's gonna slip my mind, not American Girls, American Heritage Girls. Some of you are familiar with them. So like going to some of those partners that are looking for ways for their groups, their audiences to engage, and then saying, hey, here's some really great content. Would you guys be willing to be strategic partners with us on this film? And there's lots and lots and lots of different ways to go about that, but it's for us, it's been a really significant and key part of our advertising.
Okay, what has been your biggest struggles in marketing films?
I'll say just staying disciplined with what we want what we know our core audience is, what we know our core message is, and it's a very fine line between when something's not working, pivoting, but also not just constantly trying to grasp and like change directions every other week. Like it can be a really overwhelming world, especially in the digital world where it feels like things are changing so quickly. And so for us, it's like a really intentional, it's an intentional step to say, this is our strategy, and unless something's not working, we're gonna stick to the strategy, because especially digital, I always say digital can be a really big black hole. Like it just never ends, and you can find yourself just chasing after everything at once. And being able to say, no, this is the way that we're going, this is the strategy that we're going. And yes, pivoting if it's not working, that's a very different thing. But it is okay to say, this is the audience that we're going after, these are the platforms we believe that are gonna work, and we're going to keep that strategy in place as we go and not just get distracted along the way at every potential opportunity that comes your way.
Yeah, I'll share a little story of one of the biggest struggles we had. We were part of the marketing team for the movie The Remaining. It was a Firm Films released this movie several years ago. I don't know how many saw it, but it was a horror film. It was demons and all of these things. So when we were marketing the movie in the United States, our poster was the demon, and we were marketing as a horror film. And the movie was released in the States and did not perform very well in the box office. It was a limited release, but it performed beyond our expectations. Our team personally loved the film, and despite it didn't perform as well as we expected, we wanted to take it to Latin America because we thought this has a lot of potential. So, we were with the big challenge. Okay, the movie did not work well here, and we're going to take it to Latin America. So what do? And what we do is we revised and fine-tuned, some very basic things that worked very well for us. The first one is we did not market it as a horror film, but as an apocalyptic thriller. And that immediately changed the minds of our Hispanic viewers, because most of the people, especially in church, I don't like horror films. If we were to do a survey, I bet most of you don't like horror films and don't watch horror films. So this was an apocalyptic thriller. And then the second one is we changed the artwork. We, no demon in the poster, and we used, a photo of the three leads in the artwork, and we marketed it like that. It was still the same trailer, it was still the same movie, and it became one of our best-grossing films in Latin America. And I think it was that, we saw what was not working and we changed it. And it was very simple. It was just, words and an image, but it had a complete different result.
Yeah, I would say, our experience as a marketing partner on a number of projects, we found that just not having enough assets to use for marketing. So I think that's very important to consider. Like, for example, the trailer or clips or a brand guide that speaks into your messaging and what kind of graphics that you could use for social media images. So as you consider, getting a marketing partner, you can, if you have a graphic designer that created your movie poster, it's probably a layered file. You can send that to your marketing partner to create, graphics from, or, video clips, just different things like that, and still images too. It's like you can never have enough still images for social media graphics.
As a general rule, how soon do you start marketing your film? At what milestones do you start certain phases of marketing?
Oh, yeah, so you start, marketing your film, in pre-production. At that point, you would want to come up with some type of maybe, I don't want to say viral campaign, because you don't know, you want to come up with some type of campaign that's going to get people's attention. It may go viral, but something to get people's attention to, like, okay, your film is coming, this is coming, maybe some ideas of what it is, so that you start early at that. I mean, you may not even have, a release date. You may say coming Christmas, or, something to that degree. So then, and then once you get into that, once you get into production, then you can maybe start, dripping out, like, behind the scenes stuff, or just like diaries. I know the Kendricks, on, I forget which film it was, they released like different like clips on, in today's shoot, we did this, and things like that. And then once you get past, production, you can start getting into like your trailer, and start dripping out like a lot more type of content to promote the film.
And I would echo that. I would just say it really varies on so many different factors: where you're distributing, how you're distributing, what your budget is a really big one. You can launch all of your social pages and be doing organic posting before your paid advertising actually starts, and that's a great way to start to build a little bit of an audience there. But I don't know that there is necessarily like a hard and fast rule of like, by 6 months you should be doing this, and 3 months you should be doing this. It really depends on how and where the film that you are producing is going to be distributed.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, one of the key elements is the distribution. Without having distribution in place, it's a lot harder to market a film. I mean, depending, if you're going theatrical, depending on what you're doing. But once you know whether it's, it's going to be a release theatrically or in a platform, then that's a lot easier. However, there are certain things that you can do to start creating awareness of the film. If for example, if you bought the books of a book, a well-known book, and you're going to do a movie, you can do a press release and start sending information that, this book, we've gotten the rights, we're going to be doing a movie. Once you start, shooting, if you got, talent, if you got recognizable names, and you want to do a press release also and start creating more awareness, okay, this movie about this well-known book, it's in production, and it's got, these actors. So those are little things that you can start doing even before you get going that will begin to create awareness, about, the movie and everything. And obviously your social media, that's something, once you have, images and things like that, you can also start posting to start creating, followers.
All right, what percentage of budget should go to marketing?
Depends who you ask. But truly, I'll jump in. Feel free to jump in too. Like, I think it really depends, again, on where and how it's being distributed. The budget is going to vary vastly if you're going straight to a streaming platform versus nationwide movie theaters, versus traditional distribution to nationwide theaters versus something like a Fathom event, or a limited release. And is it a nationwide release? Like, there's just so many factors. So I know, on a very typical feature film, feature release, they'll often say and recommend that your marketing budget is basically equal to or close to that of your production budget. But I think that depends on how you're hoping to distribute.
Yeah, 1 times to 1.5 times.
good questions. What other non-video assets should I consider for marketing, like a book, etc.?
This is a tricky one, I would say. And this is a mistake I've made several times, and it's very common. So just be careful that whatever you decide to come up to promote the movie, you don't have also to promote. Because if you come up with a book and then you have to market the book, to market the movie, then you're spending money and doing all these things for this that it's not geared towards your movie. You know, now if it's you know, and it depends on the situation, but that would be just my, you know, my warning. Just, you know, whatever you do, make sure that it's not something that you're gonna have to promote so that then it would promote the movie. Make it more something that, you know, it's easy, it's you know, it's got some kind of you know, followers, depending on what it is, that it would be, you know, easily moved and promoted without having to do a whole bunch of marketing of that special tool.
High fives. I agree. Literally took the thought out of my mind. I am really passionate about purposeful marketing, and not just doing things to do them. And so if you know, if your film or your project, whatever it is, would do really well and your ministry would be expanded by having a devotional that goes along with it, great. But just creating for the sake of creating in hopes that it sells more tickets it's a really fast and hard downward spiral that sort of never ends. And so, you know, and when you're starting to promote your project, people will come out of the woodwork and they'll tell you, you need books and you need devotionals and you need coloring books and activity books for the kids if it's a kids thing. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't know where to start and stop. And so I would just say be really purposeful and intentional with it. And it is okay to say, that's not for me. Like back to the distracted thing, like if it's not enhancing the experience or enhancing the ministry and super purposeful, it really is okay to say, no, that's not for me, and I'm gonna keep focused on what I feel called to be focused on.
Yeah, and I will add to billboards. Billboards are a lot less expensive to create because of digital. And now that people are getting out more now and driving in their car, you know, they're getting, you know, driving by billboards. So, but because you don't have to get a graphic printed and put it up there, I mean, it's just an image and they put it up digitally. It's a lot less expensive now.
Yeah, more than having a book, I would suggest do a devotional that goes line or hand in hand with your movie, and give that devotional away for free as a free download through your, you know, social media or your platforms or whatever, and that will help you create an audience. You know, press here, you know, give me your name, we'll send you, and that way it's not something very, you know, expensive. It will help if the devotional is booked. It will create more awareness about your film, and more people would want to go watch it. You know, if it's a youth, you know, for example, and the devotional is very appealing to the youth leader and the youth, well, they'll probably be more interested in the film. So something like that it's not costly effective, that you can easily promote, that goes well, and it will help enhance the experience of the movie, I would recommend instead of a book, unless there's specific circumstances why, you know, you want to do that book, or, you know, whether it's a story or something very, very specific.
I would say get your poster and put it on the ceiling at the dentist's office. I'm just kidding. That's why I'm not in one of those chairs. Okay, what kind of people should we be looking for to help with marketing our films? Who are the people to go and get to know, or what kind of person should we look for?
So I would say there are two people to go to, well, not just a single person, but two types of people and teams to go to. One would be PR, so getting a good kind of press, you know, a company that does PR for films, and the other would be like your marketing partner, somebody that can help you, either create all your assets or help you with your messaging, do some things like that. Some of them maybe even cut trailers for you, but I think those two are good, at minimal types of groups that you can go with.
And I'll just unpack that, totally agree. A little bit more, when you're looking for a marketing partner, marketing can be very broad or very narrow. So you can oftentimes engage a marketing strategy partner who either is like a full service house where they'll do the buying for you and the strategy for you, and even to your point, like the creative. And sometimes you find a strategy partner who actually just knows who all those people are. So they'll be able to say to you, hey, for creative in this project, we have a couple of partners we recommend here. This is who we would recommend for for your actual ad buying, like outdoor boards and your digital and TV, spots if you go that route. And sometimes they're not even all in the same agency. So a lot of times it's not unusual for a feature film to have multiple agencies as a part of the marketing project.
I mean, just as an example, when we've been part of the marketing teams for the Kendrick Brothers movies in the U.S., normally the studio, which in this case, Sony, for example, they'll put together a marketing team with different focus areas. Obviously you have a publicist, you have a PR person, you have social media, and then you also have a specialist for the African American community. Will come in as specialists for the Hispanic community. So you put a full team depending on, your audience and what you want to reach. And then, the team, of course, watches the film, and then everybody will submit their ideas on their specialty. So, I mean, of course, that's at a very large scale, and we're talking, studio and a big movie with big budgets. But at least it gives you an idea that once you determine the audience, find the people that would help you better reach that specific audience and that has, the best tools. And it can be one or it can be several.
With social media being overwhelmed with advertising, what would you say are other important promotional opportunities?
I mean, I can jump in for us, kind of going back to that earlier orchestra comment where we do a lot of different things. For I Heard the Bell specifically for this December, we're spreading out our budget. Yes, digital is a significant chunk, but we are also doing some intentional smaller buys on television, and we are doing a handful of radio partnerships. We are also doing what's called connected TV, so like running some ads on Hulu and places like that where people are watching similar content, because you can very specifically target audiences there. So it's like a different type of digital. So it's beyond social media, and it is still digital, but it's a different way to capture audiences that are already watching content that might be similar to yours. So spreading it out a little bit, if your budget allows for it, is really helpful to have those multiple touch points if you can. If not, social media and digital still really is where a lot of the success is coming from, at least in our experience.
Another, great thing that we can take advantage of are events. There are a lot of large Christian events nationwide. And again, also depending on your film, and if you're going to do a nationwide release or a local release, you can find out where are these events happening, whether there's, a big concert or, a women's event, or, again, depending on the audience you want to reach. And then go talk to the promoter of the event, see what are the opportunities in there for you, whether it's, to have a booth or maybe show the trailer as part of, before the event begins, or maybe they'll give you 5 minutes to talk about your project. And anyway, just things like that surrounding events where you have large gatherings of people, that could also be another way to market your film.
Yeah, and I'll add, like, doing pre-screenings as well to, influencers and different groups is good. And you don't have to do a number of these events or pre-screenings yourself. You can actually work with independent reps that will go and go to different territories, and then they'll go and screen your film for you, or they'll go to groups for you, but they're representing your film, so you don't have to travel the world to promote your film. You could get partners to do that.
I have a finished film, episodic series. How do I find the audience or get the product to the audience?
Yeah, so the first thing you'll want to do is, find a distributor that will help you get it, to the different audiences, and you'll want to tell them okay, these are the audiences that I want to go to, and then think about okay, your audience, and you touched on this earlier this morning, is your audience is more than just where you think it is. Your audience is the world. And so find a distributor or multiple distributors that can then carve out, that will do carve outs to different territories. That I would say that would be the first thing you would want to do once you don't even. You don't even have to have a completed film. You could have, but most distributors, do like to see something that is completed. But some people even say, okay, what's your, a script? But you're likely to have good success if you have an actual completed film.
Yeah, and if another key element, it's always distribution. How is your series going to? Do you already have a platform or channel, or how is that? Because once you have that, then perhaps the same platform will help you find the audience, or they'll do a lot of that work for you or with you. For you, it's always good to know, because in making a lot of decisions, if you already have it done and finished, then we talked earlier about perhaps doing screenings or something that will let you, in case you want to make some changes. If it's done and finished, then I would try to find the distributor or the platform, and then partner with them to figure out what's the best way to engage with the audience. Because obviously, if it's a platform, then you already have the platform's audience. So now it's just a matter of swimming in their world of people for them to watch your film. And that would be a different strategy, because basically going in line with the platform.
And I'll acknowledge that finding a distributor for a lot of people really is one of the hardest parts. It can feel really overwhelming. Coming to events like this, submitting your work to film festivals and things like that in an attempt to get it out there and make connections and hopefully get some attention for it and meet people. This was referenced actually in one of the workshops I was in earlier, but in some ways the industry, it can feel really big and overwhelming, and in some ways it's not as big as you'd think, so there's always somebody that knows somebody. And so coming to events like this and meeting people and just seeing where that leads can be really pivotal for projects.
A couple years ago, I was talking to Brad Silverman of Kappa Studios, and he did Selfie Dad, and he told me that he doesn't even start a project until he has a distributor behind him, so he knows exactly what direction he's going to go in before he even starts. Okay, how do you market before you have a budget?
Very wisely.
Wow.
And creatively.
Yeah, going back to some of the earlier questions that we had, I would say be cautious about marketing before you have a budget, but a lot of the assets that you're going to need to market, you can be starting, at the very least, you can be starting to walk towards some of those so that you can market. But other than truly like social media and free platforms like that, there are not many things out there marketing-wise that are truly free. Like there's just not. So having that budget solidified and knowing what your strategy is before you just dive in feet first is really important.
Okay, next question. What are your recommendations for how someone can get a job with your companies?
Yeah, so right now, if you, let's see, that's a good question. If you live in Nashville and are a salesperson, and if you live in Georgia and are an IT person, that's what we're looking for right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our organization has 700 employees between our Branson location and our Lancaster, Pennsylvania location, and all of our open positions are always posted online, so site-sound.com. And I would say if you are not there yet, just get experience. Volunteer at church, volunteer at events like this, find ways to just continue to hone in your craft and be able to show the work that you've done. It's one of the best things that you can do, just to never stop learning, even as you're waiting for the opportunities to come.
Yeah, in our case, Canción Films, we work with most of the Latin American countries, so the people that we work with are in those countries, basically, because we do not do distribution in the US. So in this case, you would need to obviously be fluent in Spanish and live in one of those countries, to qualify. And then, of course, it would be the regular process of, going through HR and all of those things.
Okay, well, is marketing a Christian film much more difficult than secular, or is it just like any other audience?
I would actually say that it's easier. Personally, I believe that because we have a strong purpose and a strong and a very clear vision most of the time. Like so many of us are in this for the same reasons, and we are in it to further the gospel. We are in it to inspire people and to build up the church. And so having that clear vision from the very beginning and being able to actually speak to an audience that that for the most part speaks your language is a gift that when you are producing a project that does not have that really clearly defined group of people already, it actually, I think sometimes is harder to determine the audience. So for us, we actually believe wholeheartedly that marketing is a part of our ministry. We want people that encounter our marketing to be just as inspired by what they're experiencing and seeing in a 30-second TV spot or on an outdoor board driving down the road as what they are when they come and experience a show or a film that we've produced. And so when you look at it through the lens of marketing being a part of your ministry, I think it actually maybe isn't easier, but it does simplify it in some ways because you already have that clear first step of demographic building that you already have established.
Yeah, I'll add that you can actually make it harder for yourself, but like Katie said, it actually is easier. You make it harder for yourself by not budgeting enough money for marketing. So you can put yourself in a kind of a tough spot by not having the money to budget. But if you plan for it, then it can, it'll be easy because the audiences are there and they want to hear about it. But just, plan for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's easier in the sense that there's already a demographic established, so you already know, what are you going after, if that's a right way. There's a lot of challenges, and maybe these are some of the challenges why you might think it's harder. One of them is a lot of Christians don't want to watch Christian films, and I think that's an obstacle because they already have preconceived ideas of what a Christian film is, and there's part of the audience that says, oh, I don't want to watch a Christian film. Okay, let's see, I want Avengers or a Christian film. I'll watch. So I mean, there is that, but it's definitely easier and less expensive because you're not doing anything, bigger. It's more focused on that demographic, and I think there's a lot of room to grow. Christian films can continue to grow, and we can continue to explore new genres and new things that would be more appealing to to people, different, not the typical preconceived ideas of what people think is a Christian film.
Do you recommend making a trailer before having a distribution deal, or will our distributor make their own?
I would say make your trailer, because if you go to like a pitch-a-thon and you go to a film market, you're going to sit down there and you're going to talk to a distributor. They're going to want to see either like a one sheet or you're going to show them your trailer. So that could make your deal, or by not having a trailer could you could walk away there not having a deal. So.
Yeah, however, be very careful because the trailer is going to speak for your movie. That's all they're going to watch. If it's a good trailer, great. If it's a bad trailer, even if it's a good movie, and it doesn't communicate that. So I would say be very careful. If hire the right person, or if you're going to do it yourself, learn about how properly do it. The right sound, the right music, everything, so that it is appealing. It communicates, exactly, what the movie is about. Or like in so many cases, make a trailer better than your movie. I don't know if that has happened to anybody here, that you see a trailer and you go, oh, the trailer was better than the movie. But yeah, the trailer will be the key piece that will communicate and will draw audiences to watch your film.
And if you're going to have screenings for your movie, you should also have your trailer reviewed by other people to give you feedback. Okay, so next question is, what kind of agency will we go for targeted advertising on Hula or similar AVOD?
I can jump in. Most traditional advertising buying agencies will be able to help you with that. Some digital agencies cross over into that, but a lot of digital, if they're calling themselves a digital agency, a lot of times they are social media, which is awesome and you need them. But a lot of times the more traditional advertising buying agencies that also do television, outdoor boards, and things like that, it's considered a part of broadcast television, even though it's online. So a lot of times that's more on that side and not as much on the digital side. But it depends on the agency. They're all becoming so specialized that you just need to ask the question when you call. Make it one of the questions of what services, when it comes to ad buying, do they actually provide. And if you want to do something like that, don't assume that digital just automatically means anything that's on your computer, because it doesn't always. A lot of times digital is social, and the other sides of digital, whether it's running Google ads or any of those types of digital advertising that you see, like banner ads on different websites, those types of things, that can be different than social advertising. So just when you call, ask some of those questions.
Do you have any other marketing strategies for student films specifically?
So I would say with a student film, if you're going to go to like a festival, I would film festival, which most student films kind of tend to start there, is to create postcards for your film and just pass them out to everyone. So usually you go to these festivals and everyone's there. They're going to try to pick your film, but if they get a postcard, that's a good strategy to get people into it. A lot of other student films go to platforms that specialize in short films, because a lot of student films are short films. So you can actually, if you have a platform that had picked up your film, you could just do a little marketing campaign out there, out on, I don't know, you'd go on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and just say, hey, go watch my film over here on, X platform.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Do you have any low/zero budget tips or tricks to share?
I mean, I'll start and just say, I don't think that there is very much in this industry that is just free. It is, even social media, it's getting harder without a budget to market well. That being said, create content that people want. I mean, that's really and not just what people want, but what you feel called to do. I mean, that is really the foundation of it. And when you see things that go viral on social or all that sort of stuff, it's because people are interested in it. It was really great content. It grabbed people's attention. It inspired them. It spoke to them. It encouraged them, whatever it was. So find out what your niche thing is. Do you exist to inspire people? Do you exist to inspire people creatively, whatever it is, and do that thing with excellence. Begin building an online community and make as many connections as what you can is a great place to start. But it does eventually need a budget if you really want to take it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, definitely on the same line, the social, the old way, your friends, your family. If you have your film in YouTube and, that's what you're trying to promote, okay, well, have your friends and family, look at it and recommend it, and then ask them to do it the same with their friends and their families. And, something like that would be what I could think of, just, the old-fashioned way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add, the best zero budget tip is to get other people to talk about your film. If you get other people to promote your film, I mean, that's way better, than paying money to promote your film, because it's somebody else referring, to their friends to watch the film. So just referral marketing and just word of mouth can go a long way.
Okay, well, thank you very much to our panel. Just give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I just want to say a quick prayer for all of us here. Father, I thank you again for these professionals up here, Lord, who can share their knowledge with all these people here. Father, I pray that you're glorified through everything that is done, every project that comes from this. And Father, I just pray for all these young filmmakers that you work in them and just raise up the new generation of filmmakers for your kingdom. Pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.